In the early 18th century, the British monarchy was on uncertain ground. After decades of religious upheaval, civil war, and dynastic instability, the question of succession loomed larger than ever. Queen Anne, the last of the Protestant Stuarts, had no surviving children, and the political elite feared that her death might open the door to a Catholic claimant. What followed was one of the most consequential decisions in British constitutional history: the passing of the Act of Settlement in 1701. This act established that the English crown would pass not to the nearest blood relative, but to the nearest Protestant heir, even if that person lived hundreds of miles away. That heir was Sophia of Hanover, a woman who had never lived in Britain, never spoken English fluently, and who at the time was already in her 70s. But she was a granddaughter of James I of England, a committed Protestant, and a figure of dynastic stability. Though she never became queen herself, her designation as heir would set in motion the rise of the House of Hanover, a royal house that would govern Britain for more than a century, influencing everything from parliamentary power to imperial expansion. To understand how a German duchess came to be the legal mother of modern Britain's monarchy, we need to go back to the middle of the 17th century. Sophia was born on October 14, 1630, in The Hague, in the Dutch Republic. Her birth took place not in the heart of a grand royal court, but in exile. Her parents, Frederick V, Elector Palatine of the Rhine, and Elizabeth Stuart, daughter of King James I of England, were living in political and financial uncertainty. Just a decade earlier, Frederick had briefly accepted the crown of Bohemia, a move that led to his swift defeat and earned him the nickname the Winter King. Forced to flee their lands, the family lived as royal exiles in the Netherlands, supported partly by sympathetic Protestant allies and partly by Elizabeth Stuart connections. From a young age, she was known for her sharp intellect, strong memory, and practical mindset. These qualities would later earn her the respect of diplomats and philosophers alike. Despite her family's diminished political position, Sophia's lineage made her a valuable figure in European dynastic circles. In 1650, she visited her brother Charles Louis, who'd been restored to the electorate of the Palatinate after the end of the 30 Years' War. During this time, Sophia began to consider suitable marriage prospects. After declining several proposals, she agreed to marry Ernest Augustus of Brunswick-Lüneburg in 1658. Ernest Augustus was not a king, but he held significant status as Duke of one of the principalities of the Holy Roman Empire. Their marriage was one of political practicality and mutual respect. Over time, Ernest Augustus would rise to become the first Elector of Hanover, elevating Sophia's rank and positioning their family within the upper tier of German nobility. The marriage produced 7 children, and Sophia played a central role in their upbringing and education, particularly that of her eldest surviving son, George Louis. Throughout her married life, Sophia remained deeply involved in court affairs and cultural life. She maintained a lifelong correspondence with major thinkers of the day, especially Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, whose philosophical and theological ideas she engaged with seriously. Sophia did not withdraw into ceremonial life. She governed estates, advised her husband, and took an active role in shaping the intellectual and political environment of the Hanoverian court. As her family's status rose within Germany, Sophia likely saw her role as shaping the fortunes of a strong regional dynasty. But events in Britain far beyond her immediate horizon would soon make her a central figure in the future of the British monarchy. In England, the political and religious landscape was once again shifting, with tensions over succession and the role of monarchy continuing to dominate public life. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 had resulted in the removal of the Catholic King James II and the joint monarchy of his Protestant daughter Mary II and her husband William III of Orange. The English Parliament had made clear that only Protestants could inherit the throne, a stance further reinforced by the Bill of Rights in 1689. But with William and Mary producing no heirs, and Mary's sister Queen Anne suffering the deaths of all her children, the future of the monarchy was dangerously uncertain. As the succession crisis deepened, Parliament began to look beyond Britain's borders in search of a suitable Protestant heir to secure the future of the monarchy. Although James II had surviving Catholic descendants, including his son James Francis Edward Stuart, known as the Old Pretender, Parliament was firmly resolved to prevent a return to Catholic rule. After weighing dynastic ties, religious loyalty, and political stability, lawmakers looked to the descendants of James I, and among them, Sophia of Hanover stood out. Though over 50 individuals had a closer genealogical claim to the English throne, all were Catholic. Sophia, as the daughter of Elizabeth Stuart and granddaughter of James I, was Protestant and had borne a large, healthy line of heirs. She was also seen as intellectually capable, politically moderate, and devoted to Protestant values. In 1701, the English Parliament passed the Act of Settlement, officially naming Sophia and her descendants as heirs to the throne, provided they remained Protestant. This moment marked a turning point in British constitutional history. Sophia had gone from a distant relation to the designated successor of the English crown. Sophia accepted the designation with seriousness. Though already in her early 70s, she kept a close watch on British affairs and ensured her son, George Louis, was prepared to take on the crown should the time come. There were even discussions about Sophia possibly traveling to England or being invited to court as Queen Anne's health declined, but no such invitation ever came. Despite her age, Sophia remained active and mentally alert well into her 80s. But in June 1714, while walking after a rainstorm, she collapsed from a sudden heart attack. She died almost instantly, just a few weeks short of her 84th birthday and just over a month before Queen Anne would also pass away. Sophia never lived to see her son become king, as she died just weeks before the British throne became vacant. On August 1, 1714, her son George Louis was crowned King George I, fulfilling the terms of the Act of Settlement and marking the beginning of the House of Hanover's rule in Britain. It was a quiet but profound revolution. A German family now ruled Britain, not through conquest or marriage, but through law. Her legacy is far-reaching, even if history tends to remember her quietly, as her influence came not from direct rule, but from her place in a royal succession. Sophia of Hanover played a pivotal role in shaping the future of the British monarchy by providing a Protestant lineage that Parliament could legally and securely tie to the crown. Through Sophia, the British crown began its transformation into a constitutional institution, one shaped by law, party politics, and the will of elected government. Her descendants would go on to rule Britain through some of its most defining historical periods, from the heights of the British Empire to the challenges of the Industrial Revolution and the turmoil of 2 world wars. From King George I to Queen Victoria, and all the way to the current monarch, the royal line owes its continuity to Sophia.